Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Men for the Win is sponsored by the Grand Group with Edina Realty. Are you looking to purchase a new home in the Twin Cities area? Or perhaps you're trying to sell your current home? Whether you're upsizing or downsizing, the Grand Group with Edina Realty will meet all of your housing needs. Contact the Grand Group by emailing thegrand, G-R-A-N, group at edinarealty.com or call them by phone at 612-817-8751. The Grand Group with Edina Realty, 7-time Minneapolis-St. Paul Magazine Super Agent Award winners. Men for the Win is part of the Pull Tab Sports Network, covering sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Check them out at pulltabsports.com and give them a follow on all your social media platforms at Pull Tab Sports. On this episode, David and Hoges recap the Twins' 3-game series against the Houston Astros. Thanks for listening. Enjoy. Thanks for tuning in to Men for the Win. My name is David Kufis. With me today, special guest in studio, Andrew Hoges Hoganson. Dan is off gallivanting at Disneyland. Hoges. He's at Disneyland, but he was able to escape the family vacation shortly to attend an Angels game. And he was watching. It's always one of those things, Hoges. I don't know if you've been to other games, but where you have the Twins game on your phone while you're at the ballpark for another team.
Yeah, it does feel weird. I went to a lot of Brewers games when I was in college because I went to Madison, and you're always like, you get like caught up in them cheering for the Brewers. I don't like the Brewers, and all of a sudden I start clapping, and I'm checking my phone to see about the baseball team that I actually care about. It's always a weird deal, and I got to make fun of him. He sent us a picture of him wearing an Angels cap. I know you talk about it where you have like the Red Sox cap. I can't do that. Like my love for the Twins runs so deep. It just feels wrong. I get we're not a rival with the Red Sox or the Angels or anything like that, but I don't know. A little bit of judgment my way towards him for that moment. But I'm glad he was able to get away. I know he was excited / nervous about this trip, so hopefully a baseball game helped him feel pretty good out there.
Yeah, he has been very impressed by what he's experienced at Disneyland, which I think is sort of funny.
That's good.
That like Dan went in. I'm not sure what his expectations were, but he was like, it just really helps me understand better like what theme parks can be. And I'm like Disney is known, Dan, as like it's like Mecca, right?
Yeah,
it's like
right. It's supposed to be the cream of the crop.
Tier. Yes.
When did he become a theme park critic? Either.
Well, I don't think he likes the rides that go back and forth.
Okay.
I don't think he's a fan of that.
Fair.
But enough about Dan Thompson. We're procrastinating, Hoges, because the Twins should have won 2 out of 3 in this series. They implode at the end of Game 3. I don't want to spoil too many of our thoughts because I'm sure we're going to get into it. But Hoges, Twins home opener, I was able to attend. The weather turned out pretty well, actually. The sun came out for a majority of the game. What I'll say, I was very excited about the honey chicken and waffles from Official Fried Chicken. Major disappointment. Major disappointment, Hoges. So
that's surprising.
I like their chicken tenders quite a bit, but the waffles, 100% were like those mini waffles you can get like in the Costco freezer.
Yeah.
Like that's what they looked like.
Oh.
And they were cold.
And you can't have them cold when you're already dealing with colder weather too, right? Because that's one of the things you want is those waffles to just be piping hot.
But I don't think they were ever hot. Like that's part of the problem here.
When you know you're not getting the day before's games either. It's literally game 1. Like these should be fresh.
Anyway, I will still go to the Official Fried Chicken, but I will not get the chicken and waffles. And the honey, I guess I assumed it'd be some sort of sauce. No, it's like they took that bear, that's got the honey in it, and they just like squeezed it over the top of everything. Yeah, it's just not my
Sounds
scene,
messy,
Hoges.
too.
It wasn't too bad if you 2-finger it, because you're not really dipping, which is fine. But still, anyway, enough of that, Hoges. I will not be getting that.
We can't get to it.
One last note before we get into the series recap here. The Twins have announced that they will actually have 10 Tuesday games for free over the air on Fox 9 this season. So if you're listening to the show and you don't watch Twins baseball at all for some reason because you don't have Twins TV or you don't have a cable subscription, you will watch Twins games if you'd like for free over the air on Tuesdays only, apparently.
But I did see that though. I think that's awesome. I feel like it's 3 years too late or whatever. But the Twins are actually doing a good job with this so far. I don't know about you. I've been pretty impressed with the Twins TV so far. It's been pretty smooth outside of the opening day hiccups that they had, which I was at the watch party, so I didn't experience any of those. And I love the Baseball Zen commercials or whatever. But it makes me start falling asleep during games. Like thankfully there haven't been that many night games yet, but that's going to be a problem when we're watching games out on the West Coast. And they're just slowly painting that chalk line. That's going to be the first inning. I would be sawing logs already.
Hoges is just dead asleep. Anyway, enough of this here, Hoges. Let's go ahead and jump into the series recap.
Series recap.
Game 1, Hogs. Astros come away with this one 5-2. Joe Ryan comes out, and he is spitting fire, Hogs, in the top of the first. It's the home opener. Everybody's pumped. He mows down the first 3 batters, 3 strikeouts, and everybody's just on the edge of their seat, just so excited and ready for this offense to explode. Explosion is probably a generous word.
I mean, it's a low bar at this point with how the first 2 series went, and it was great, though. We went up 2-0 right away in the first inning. I loved it.
Wallner led off with a triple, and it was really cool. It was to left center, and the ball got caught under the mat, which was pretty cool, and so he was able to make third, and then he scores on a Correa ground out. Then Buxton gets to first, and then this is the big play, obviously. He steals second. Everybody loves to see Buxton steal a base, and then Larnach singles him home, so the Twins end up 2-0 after the first inning. And then in the top of the second, it's like something happened to Joe Ryan between the first inning and the second inning, because he starts the top of the second inning by giving up 2 solo shots to basically the same place in the field. And it was really frustrating because the second one was on an 0-2 count, Hogs.
Yeah, which I know gets you going every single time, but they were bad pitches too. I consider myself fairly knowledgeable about the game of baseball, but I'm not a genius by any stretch of the imagination.
I can't compete with you physically, and you're no match for my brains.
It's like when the ball's halfway between home and the pitcher's mound, and you can tell it's just right down the middle. And both of those pitches were like that. You know, where you kind of just tighten up a little bit and you're like, yeah. Or if you're on offense, you're like, oh, here we go. It was exactly that feeling on both of those pitches. And it was weird because I was like, well, how did he get through the first? And then, like I said, when I got home late and I'm looking up and he struck out the side and you're just, what happened?
It's quite infuriating. And I think what made this worse, obviously, is the offense literally did nothing. There was a point where I think it was 17 at-bats in a row with no base runners for the Twins. The Astros did more of their damage here in the top of the fourth. Walker's hit by pitch, Caratini singles, and then this is where it gets really bad. Ryan loses track of the pitch clock, and so he tries to step off and make a throw, but he gets tied up and he's called for a balk, and it was so bad. Runners move forward to second and third, and then Dan Thompson texted. I think he texted before the hit went through the infield.
It was close.
But the infield is moved in, and then Rogers scores both runs on a ball that definitely would have been a tailor-made double play ball had the infield not been in, the balk not happened. Astros go up 4-2, and then they add one more, Hogs. I'm sitting left field. Top of the sixth, Caratini doubles on a fly ball to Harrison Bader that should have been caught. And it's so weird because Harrison Bader is supposed to be one of the better fielders on this
Gold
team.
Glover.
And he takes a wheel route to get to this ball. It's super weird. He shoots straight to the right and then sort of wheels around to come in on the ball. Had he taken a straight line to the ball, he would have been there, I think, he would have been moving, but he still would have caught the ball no problem.
I think that left field with the shadows in these day games, especially early on in the season, is really messing with those fielders. I think it's very, 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 I mean, we saw it today. It was just a mess out there with the shadows. But I think their routes that they're seeing to take to these balls are really significantly hampered by the sun. I'm not trying to excuse him by any sense because it was bizarre how he did that. But I really think those shadows are playing tricks on these guys.
Very well could be the case. But Caratini scores on a Rogers double. Astros lead at 5-2. And again, the Twins offense did absolutely nothing to get excited about. Moving quickly then to game 2. Twins win this one, thank goodness, 6-1. It's the top of the first, and we'll talk more about Jose Altuve's game 1 experience a bit later. But Altuve had a terrible game 1, we'll say. We'll get more in details about that later. But he answers his terrible game 1 with a leadoff homer, puts the Astros up 1-0. Bailey Ober's on the mound, and I'm nervous at this point, Hogs. I'm thinking, okay, maybe my boy Ober either isn't fully healthy or maybe he just doesn't have it this season. Maybe the kids kept him up for some reason.
Where did all these unsupervised children come from?
But thank goodness he settled down. He only got through 4 innings, but he still did well enough here to keep this team in the running here. Bottom of the fourth is where the Twins do their damage. They ignite after Buxton's hit by pitch. How long did it take you to start breathing again, Hogs, after you saw Buxton get hit?
Right in the hand again. So you're just well, they're breakable, right? That's just what happens. And it's even worse because right after he got hit, I got a text from one of my friends who was also watching the game, and all it said was, this guy is always hurt. So I thought he heard something more. I didn't know if he saw it on Twitter or something, but he was actually referencing one of our fantasy baseball players and not Buxton in the moment, so we were okay.
And I don't believe that man's ever been to medical school.
And just to give you a little bit more of like a better feeling in your stomach right now, our fantasy player actually isn't hurt. He ended up hitting a home run later that night. So we dodged both bullets.
Oh, nobody cares, Hogs. Nobody cares. Okay. Anyway, after Buxton's hit by pitch, he steals second. Larnach walks. France hits an RBI single, and then Miranda with the big shot here, a 3-run homer, gives the Twins a 4-1 lead. And then they're not done, Hogs. Vasquez hits a double. Wallner doubles. Twins go up 5-0. And then Correa with an RBI single. Twins lead at 6-1, and that's all she wrote for that one.
We'll get to it more when we get to Game 3 here in a little bit, but it's more of the theme of the series. The Twins do come up big in this inning, but then there's nothing the rest of the game. Thankfully, it didn't burn them in this case, though.
Absolutely. Anyway, the bullpen does its job, though, even though Ober only gets through 4. It goes Varland, Sands, Alcala, Topa, and Duran, and they go cleanly through all of those innings. Thank goodness the Twins get a win on the board that's not against the White Sox. But then Game 3 happened, Hogs. And I have a lot more notes under Game 3 than I do the other 2 games, sadly. But the Twins lose this one 9-7 in extra innings. Paddack starts. He's looking to bounce back after being absolutely decimated by the White Sox. And we're going to debate a little bit later about how well he did. I'm just going to give his line for right now. 4 innings pitched, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts for a season ERA of 14.73. I can't wait to talk about this.
I think he cut it in half from what it was before. So I know you said that first one was humorous. This one was much less humorous. Like, I think that's all we can agree on that.
I suppose. Top of the first here, Altuve singles, Paredes singles, Alvarez with a sac fly. Houston goes up 1-0. And at that point, Hogs, I was nervous. I was worried. Thankfully, bottom of the first, the Twins offense starts early and answers back here. Wallner with a single, Correa walks, and then Larnach hits a sac fly. So it's 1-1 at that point. Then Castro singles, and Jeffers comes through big with a 2-run double, and the Twins lead 3-1. And thankfully, Hogs, the Twins continue to add runs here. Bottom of the second, Gasper walks, Bader singles, and then Correa with another RBI single. Twins go up 4-1. Bottom of the fourth, Hogs, the theme is consistent here. They add more runs
finally,
here.
Though. I mean, weren't you kind of thinking, like, hey, we're scoring in more than just one inning? Like, it was great.
Yes, absolutely. So Wallner doubles, Correa walks, Buxton hits an RBI double, so the Twins go up 5-1. Larnach with a 2-run double. Twins go up 7-1. And at this point, Hogs, I'm thinking, easy win. I'm already thinking about how I'm going to talk about this on the podcast. How, okay,
right?
the Card series, maybe we can say that was just a bit of a fluke. Now they've won 2 series in a row. We can
against
look forward
a good team finally here, too.
Yeah. We're going to go 4 games against the Royals. I think that'll be a good judge of how well this team is going to perform in the AL Central. And then things take a turn, Hogs. So top of the fifth, Paddack gets into trouble. DeZenzo walks, Myers doubles. Altuve reaches on a throwing error by Willie Castro. This one, I don't know. It was a very close play at first, but I do think that Altuve was likely safe because the throw from Castro brought Gasper off the bag. A little bit frustrating. I don't know that France or Miranda make that play if Gasper isn't there, but it hurt because now the Twins are only up 7-2. Paredes singles, and now the Twins are only up 7-3. So finally makes the call, brings in Sands to replace Paddack, and Sands strikes out Walker on a ball that was well off the plate. This was not a third strike by any stretch of the imagination. And then Pena lines out to Bader, and what happens at this moment is you have runners on second and third. Bader doesn't see that Correa is screaming for the ball because he knows what's about to happen here, and Altuve is going to tag up from third. Well, the ball gets thrown into second, so Altuve tags up and scores, so now the Twins are only up 7-4.
And that was a huge inning. Like, I know you still have a 3-run lead at that point in time, but you have a guy who's supposed to be fresh, able to get deep into a game. He even said it, Paddack even said in his post game, like, that was a huge inning for him to get through. You get out of that 7-1 with only 4 more innings to go, but you blow it like that. It's so miserable, even though you still have that 3-run lead. Now you got to go to higher leverage guys in the bullpen coming up. You're not saving your bullpen arms. Sure, you give those runs up later. It's not as big a deal, but it would have been nice for Paddack to get through that inning, eat up some more pitches in the 6th, but that wasn't the case.
Unfortunately, no. So bottom of the 5th, just a quick note here. Correa hit a ball deep down the left field line, and he 100% thought it was a home run. Does a little bat toss and everything. Like, it wasn't exaggerated, but he wouldn't have let that bat go if he knew it was a foul ball. That's all I'm saying here. And it went It was close. I don't know if it was close enough to bat flip, Hogs.
It's the shadows, man. They're messing with him at home plate, too.
Anyway, Astros out another one in the 6th, so now the Twins are up 7-5, and the Twins' offense continues to stay quiet. They have a chance in the 8th with Bader and Wallner going back-to-back for singles, but then they can't do anything after that. Top of the 9th is when it all falls apart. Jax is on the mound, Paredes singles, Alvarez is sitting fastball. He's just waiting for Jax to throw a fastball on the first pitch, and he crushes it. Tie game now, 7-7. Twins do nothing in the bottom of the 9th. Astros manufacture a couple of runs in the 10th through steals and sack bunts. It's really
brutal.
Frustrating.
Ugly. Just so ugly. There's Little League Baseball out there. Like, I talk about my dumbs all the time, like errors that aren't going to show up as an error in the box score. That whole double steal was a dumb, but like it couldn't have been any more of a dumb. Bad throw to Jeffers to home plate, bad throw from Jeffers to second to try to get the runner stealing, and then a bad throw home back from Castro. That both players should have been out. It should have been a double play there, and you can't make that mistake at the major league level. You can't make that. If I would have done that mistake when I was 13 years old, I was running laps after the game, and it was just miserable to watch that. I hate losing, especially a game like this, like that.
Yes. So Twins do nothing in the 10th. The game ends on a Christian Vasquez strikeout.
Which that was not a strike. I would like to just point that out.
That's
but
fair.
I was watching with my brother, and I said, literally the last guy we want coming up right now. And then it ended like that, and it was like, I don't know how much I care. Like, it wasn't a strike, but would it have mattered?
No, it wouldn't have. We'll talk more about how that circumstance happened in a minute here. But Hogs, even after a bad loss, what can brighten your spirits more than brats and hot dogs and hamburgers, Hogs? But you can get all of this at Cub Foods. Spring's right around the corner. It's time to think about dusting off the grill and inviting the neighbors over for a good old-fashioned barbecue. Lucky for you, Cub Foods is your one-stop shop for all your grocery needs. With everyday fresh products and a wide selection, you'll be in great shape to host the next grill out with all your backyard essentials. Grab your fresh produce, deli meats, party trays, and bakery all in one stop. With over 100 locations in Minnesota, check out your local Cub on your next shopping trip for all of your springtime essentials.
It's definitely time to start grilling again. My neighbor gave me the look the other day, which means like spring is actually here. We're not going to have any of these fake winters anymore. So it's time to get out there, David. I'm pumped.
Catch 'em all, Kirby Puckett!
Puckett's Picks winner.
Hogs, this is not good.
No,
this is
it's
not good.
It is
Dan
absolutely
Thompson
not.
is on an absolute tear. The only person with wins so far this season is Dan Thompson. He has 3 on the season now. Dan took Wallner, who had 7 points. Hogs, you took Correa, who had 4. I had Buxton, who had 3. The listeners took Bader, who had 0. Luckily, Dan doesn't get the bonus point because Larnach actually beat out Wallner. They each had 7 points, but neither of them hit a home run. They each struck out the same number of times. So we had to go to our third tiebreaker, which is least left on base. Wallner left 4 guys on base. Larnach left 3. So thank goodness for that at least. Hogs, we got to do something drastic here. We can't let Dan keep winning.
Down 3-0 sounds a lot better than down 3.5-0. So I'm okay with that a little bit. But I would like to say, and this is the part that annoys me the most, Dan is not prone to hyperbole or extra punctuation or smiley faces or anything like that. That's just not how he texts or talks. When you told him that he won, which you didn't even say he won, you just said he was picking last for Puckett's Picks. He writes back, I won again with 3 question marks, which for those of you who know Dan Thompson, that is about as trash talky as he will get on anything. And I gotta admit, it hurts worse than when you like trash talk by yelling in my face about winning Puckett's Picks. I was just like, you knew you won. Are you really gonna throw that triple question mark at me at the, I won again?
Yes, the smug Dan Thompson.
So smug.
Yeah.
So smug.
Anyway, with that, let's go on here to Beast versus Bench.
Beast versus Bench.
Is losing fun? Is losing fun?
Who you got as your Beast there, Hogs?
It feels weird because like I want to pick someone else, but I don't know. I mean, today would have changed so much just depending on how it went. But I went with Buxton. I think in that game 1 with him getting on base and stealing a base, game 2, him getting on base, stealing a base. That's what I'd like to see out of him. We're going to get that power and everything, but that like excitement, that firepower from Buxton, I think was huge in both of those instances. It gets the crowd going. He even did it in the White Sox series a little bit. So far this year, he's been the second fastest base base runner in baseball behind only Bobby Witt Jr. He finally had a healthy offseason. I'm excited with what he's doing. I think he is the heartbeat of this team. As much as Correa talks about wanting to build that championship culture, Buxton, I think, is still the leader and like the powder keg, like that gets this thing going. And to see him like that was awesome.
I want to build a championship culture.
Maybe the torch has passed, or should I say the trash can banging bat has passed. I'm going to go with Cole Sands. He had 2 outings. He came in big spots. And what's most frustrating about this, I mentioned this, Bader throwing to second allowed Altuve to score a run. And that wasn't counted against Sands because he came in after Paddack had sort of messed things up at that point. But if you have a chance to go and look at the replay of that ball hit to Bader, you can see Correa like jumping up and down. And then you can see Cole Sands behind home plate backing up the catcher. And he's so excited that, first of all, the catch was made. And then he sees what's happening. He sees Altuve going back to tag up at third. And he's like, oh, well, the relay comes to Correa. We got him by 5-10 feet, no problem. And then the look of disappointment once he sees that the ball doesn't end up going to Correa. It's like the hands on head. It was the whole bit, Hogs.
It's crazy because like all of Twins media talked about this vaunted Twins bullpen. And it hasn't been so great this year, but Cole Sands has been great this year. So it's good to see that he still has not given up an earned run. And even that one, the one he gets out of that inning with only giving up 1 inherited runner. And like you said, questionable whether or not he should have even given up a run. He's been the saving grace back there with a lot of other guys who are really depending on to do a lot, kind of struggling here in the early on. And just to not to harp on Jax a little bit, but I did pick Jax for my bench. And I hate doing this. I always make fun of you guys for doing, but I'm picking Jax as my bench because he gave up that home run here in the 9th, which would have changed our entire outlook on the series. So I think it's worthy of it. But the part that worries me about Jack so far this year is you made fun of him for years about all the time he just gets the worst luck on the field. Like a grounder will go off someone's knee and go 5 feet away from where it has to be. And it's just brutal. He's giving up some hard hit balls so far this year. And I'm nervous. It's not like what we've normally seen from him where he just gets unlucky. These are bad pitches that are getting ripped out of the ballpark.
It's not great. And this was a hard one to watch. That Alvarez home run, like just the way that it came off the bat, you're like, well, okay. Like, I mean, the game isn't over. But knowing Twins baseball, I think that other teams, like other fans of other teams, if that happens, where it's the top of the 9th and you're up 2, and your team gives up 2 runs to tie it, you still have the bottom of the 9th, and then you know you might end up in extras. No Twins fan is thinking, we're going to win this game.
No, it was so over.
I think other fan bases, I don't know that they have that feeling that we do, Hogs. Like, other fan bases are like, oh, yeah, we got the bottom of the 9th. It'll be fine. It'll be a great walk-off win. And we're thinking, well, oof, I'm sure they're going to lose in an even worse fashion than giving up that home run that he just gave up.
I mean, I'll admit I kept the game on because I knew I had to talk about it later. Otherwise, I think I may have just been like, well, that was fun.
Oh, man.
You know what they say? Fool me once, strike 1. But fool me twice, strike 3.
Oh, man, there's a lot of options here for bench. I'm glad you took Jax off the board. Paddack is certainly an option. Bader, just because he cost the team 2 runs between game 1 and then this role that he played in game 3, not thrown to Correa. But I think I got to go Ty France. 1 for 10 Hogs with a ground into double play.
After all, miss, this is France.
Not a great showing from the guy who I predicted to have a big season and sign a big contract at the end of this year.
I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, but so far through this, I mean, with you guys picking your beasts and benches too, it hasn't been the same guy. Puckett's picks hasn't been the same guy. Yeah. Like, they're all equally good and bad so far. I don't know. I mean, just an observation. I don't know if I'm positive or negative about that, but it's just kind of bizarre. I know we're early on, but no one's really shining or particularly doing horrible so far.
All right, well, with that here, let's go forward to Rocco's Rewind.
Rocco's Rewind.
I'm still not over the Ober start. More news, and the only reason I'm harping on this after this series is because more news came out that Ober lost 8 pounds in a day when he was sick, and they still ran him out there. Like, at the beginning of the year, when a guy's searching for confidence and that ERA is just, I mean, guys look at their stats, right? When you get that ERA up to 37 or whatever in the first game, and that's what your first start is, I hate that, and I don't get it. We had Dobnik, who was up there, clearly ready to pitch. We were going to send him right down when he was done again anyways. I don't know. I feel like it had, my whole, like, premise for still including on this is because I think it had an effect on this series, because the Twins' bats are a little bit nervous about that starting pitching and how it's going. And it started with just a dumb decision to pitch a guy who's like literally losing it out both ends and 8 pounds in a day. I mean, think about that. And he still pitched like the next day.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the wisest of moves by any stretch. And I think that the Twins staff, like we think about Joe Ryan's injury history and how he like kept it secret for so long. Like he thought he was hiding like the one ring, right? Like he's like, I can't tell anybody. Keep it secret, keep it safe that my groin is strained.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's no reason to do that. Like your
because I think the Twins do have a cautious,
the
Twins do have a cautious medical staff. And it's just a bizarre feeling. And I apologize for going back a series, but I'm so mad. And I read that today that it was 8 pounds. And it just bugged me. Like now is not the time. Like if we're talking like game 3 of the playoffs in a clinching bit and you just want a guy to get out there and Jordan flu game it a little bit, sure, that's a different story. But at the beginning of the year when you already have the guy up there, like, just brutal.
I am going to go with game 3, bottom 8. This is what happens. Wallner hits a single. Somebody's already on base. It doesn't matter who. But so Wallner hits a single, and so now you got runners on first and second. Keep in mind the Twins have a 2-run lead at this point. Rocco decides at that point he's going to pinch run Kersey Jr. for Wallner. I sort of understand this, right, from a defensive substitution perspective. Like, yes, he's faster than Wallner on the base pass, but clearly this is more of a defensive substitution for moving forward in the game. I think I like that Rocco did this. It just sucks that what that meant, the dominoes fell so that the at-bat that ended the game would have been Matt Wallner, but instead was Christian Vasquez.
Well, and Wallner's fast too. Like he's not a slow guy for how big he is. So it's just I get what you're saying. Like it's more of what's going to happen defensively after that. Wallner's not bad defensively either. He's got a rocket of an arm. And I think the trade-off, like you said, with having it be Vasquez coming up with the game on the line is just like, here we go. Although he did hit a walk-off home run against the Astros. They showed that on the Twins TV.
No one cares. I'm sorry. Like,
did that give you any more hope? Like,
no,
when they showed the Miranda one at the beginning of the inning, when you're like, oh yeah, he had a walk off against Hader and whatever. That one I was kind of like, okay, yeah, he can do this. He can hit this guy. When they showed Vasquez hit the walk off, I'm like, wow, he got that lucky. Like, it didn't even give me a second or even a nudge of optimism in this game when he came up. I'm like, yeah, that's so good for him. Was that his last home run? Was it 3 years ago?
That's how it felt.
I am not throwing away my shot.
Oh, my guy Miranda. He did have that big bomb though in game 2, so he's turning it on.
Which
here.
I gotta make a comment. I know. Well, that was the second game of the series or whatever on Friday. It was so funny seeing that ball go out, and you could tell the line of where the sun was and where the shade was because there was not a soul after like row 3 out in the left field because everyone was so cold they had moved down into the sun, and so there are people running over bleachers in order to get that. Even though it was like it wasn't a great crowd. I think there was 16,000 people there, but it looked like there's about 8,000 on TV because wherever there wasn't sun, there was nobody.
All right, well, with that, Hogs, let's go on here to Minnesota Moment.
Minnesota Moment.
I was ashamed at how happy I was at the opening day crowd standing and applauding for Altuve getting his 5th strikeout. Like, honestly, it made the game for me. And even when they ended up losing, I was like, at least we had that moment. That was pretty funny. And I love that the fans were aware of it. I love that they all got on their feet. It had to have been kind of a funny moment being there live at the game. I liked it. And frankly, like, with the way the series ended today, I don't really want to think about any other moments.
No, and it was nice to see him screw up in left field also that allowed a run to score.
Yeah, the Twins were going all over him too. That was crazy.
Yes, fun times to watch Altuve struggle.
It was very funny too because my sister-in-law today was like, well, why do we hate him so much? And my brother was like, well, because he cheated. He cheated. I mean, Correa did too, but we don't care about that. But Altuve, man.
And I think the whole shirt thing, is what really
that
upset.
is exactly what I said right after that. I'm like, but I think like the whole buzzer thing and like, oh, I'm a modest guy. I don't like taking off my shirt. We're like, okay. And then people play like 37 times that he has his shirt off after that.
The Instagram pictures and it's like all of him like posing and it's like, hang on, that doesn't add up even a little bit.
And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Correa at least was like, yeah, we cheated and we won a World Series. I don't know if that actually makes it better, but he definitely owned it the whole time.
I want to build a championship culture.
Roberto Clemente nominee of the year, Carlos Correa.
That one is an all-timer, certainly. Anyway, I have to go. This sounds a little bit cliche, but the Minnesota moment here was definitely Game 3 top 9 when Jax gave up that 2-run shot, and then the way the Twins finished. I feel like we already talked this to death.
Negative.
No, but we just talked about it. Like, none of us thought we were going to win after that home run.
That's true.
Nobody thought
You're
that.
right.
You could not get a more Minnesota take than that, Hogs.
You are correct.
All right, well, let's go here. Maurer's musings. Let's look to the future, Hogs.
I just don't know how it can get any better.
Maurer's musings.
So we talked about this, Hogs, in the last episode, and I said, if Paddack has another bad start, are the Twins going to pull the plug on him, or are they going to give him another chance? And this start, I would argue, was not great. But Dan texted this afternoon, and he goes, well, I haven't been able to watch the game because he's, with his family, Disneyland, and the Angels game and whatnot. But he goes, it looks like Paddack earned himself another spot. Hogs, if you had the choice, would you give Paddack another start, or would you move on to Festa or Matthews?
That's not a fair question. I'm not the one making the choice. The Twins will
saying if you
100% give Paddack another start. And they would have even if he gave up 17 runs in the first 3 innings.
Why can you just answer the question as I put? It doesn't matter how
doesn't matter what I
think.
think.
He says do a podcast about baseball. It's amazing to me. It's just answer the question. It doesn't matter. Obviously, Hogs, no matter what we say on this show, I guarantee you nobody in the Twins front office is like,
don't know that.
Okay, I suppose that's true. Falvey might be listening as we speak.
Yeah, right.
I'm asking
what
you,
about
Hogs,
Levine? Do you think Levine is listening?
Where I'm almost certain he's not. There's one person I'm sure is not listening. Thad Levine is not listening. Hogs,
I would give him another shot. I would give him another shot. Was
that so hard? Did we have to do this whole tangent about, well, I'm not really in charge? Yeah, nobody here listening, Hogs, thinks that you were in charge of this decision.
I would, but I think I would have a shorter leash than the Twins are going to have. They are going to have a long leash. I do agree with what you guys are saying. That's going to be a problem down the road, especially when you have Matthews and Festa, who are looking great so far in AAA. But even if it were my choice, I would give him at least one more, maybe 2. But the Twins, they're going to give him 5 or 6 more. I don't see this ending anytime in the near future. David, look at how long they had.
Everybody.
Yeah, right. Fill in the blank. Chris Archer.
It's not that you just couldn't think of an example.
Which one of the 50.
Yes, you had to choose which one. Okay, enough about Paddack, Hogs. What do you have here for your musing?
So I looked it up, actually. Last year, the Twins started off horribly. I believe they were 6-13, and then in May they caught fire. That's when they had their 12-game winning streak or whatever, and just went on a tear. And I sent you both a text, and all it said was, "I will not overreact in April. I will not overreact in April." And I said it like 15 times, and I just repeated it. Should we be overreacting in April right now about the current Twins team?
I don't think so. I think they're 2 games back. They can pass Kansas City if they do well in this series in Kansas City. And I just think that if you remove the terrible starts from Ober and Paddack their first time through the rotation, those other games all look quite a bit closer and quite a bit more interesting, and the Twins look less overmatched. And we can agree, this game was a bit fluky in the way that it worked out. It was a couple of bad pitches is what turned this game around, is that some guys just didn't have it today. The Twins should have won this series.
Yeah. And if they win today, they're 4-5.
Yes.
And we're against a good ball club. So
yes.
I'm
less prone to being super pessimistic at this point. If we go to Kansas City and we lose 3 of 4, I still don't know that I'm going to be in dire straits. But as the season continues, Hogs, once we get to the end of April, if this team hasn't started to show that it can win baseball games, it's time to start being a little bit nervous.
It's the spottiness too for me, right? Like the offense is really good for an inning and then just disappears for 17 straight innings. So
yes,
all stuff that can be fixed though. I agree. I think you're spot on.
All right, well, let's keep pushing here. Series grades.
Series grades.
I feel like I just talked through sort of my rationale here. But
I think you did.
I'm giving them a C. The offense has showed some promise, even if it is pretty streaky at this point. Ober bounced back, even though he only got through 4. And really, the Twins should have won this series. I think that had they won this game, I probably would have bumped this to a B. I mean, I'm not giving them an A for 2 out of 3 here, especially with the opener, just the offense being nowhere to be found. I think a C is reasonable in this instance, especially with the way the game 3 went and how easily it could have gone the Twins' way.
Yeah, I'm giving them the same grade. I don't have much much more to add other than like, I agree. Like if they win today, you feel a lot better about it, but still it's a good team that you lost 2 out of 3 at home. I mean, if you look at the grand total of a season, that's not a bad mark, and they should have won today too. So it's hard to be that harsh.
Okay, well, let's move forward here, Hogs, to Herbie's Headlines, sponsored by Gateway Fiber.
Attention, Minnesota, there's a new high-speed internet sheriff in town. Gateway Fiber has landed in Blaine, Brooklyn Park, Champlain, Coon Rapids, Maple Grove, and Plymouth, with plans to expand deeper into Minnesota. Gateway Fiber boasts a fiber optic network that exceeds the capabilities of some of the biggest players in the business, giving you more whiz for less cost for all of your online working, streaming, gaming, and whatevering. With no hidden fees, no data caps, and no installation fees, Gateway Fiber is perfect for your home or business. Go to gatewayfiber.com to get fast, reliable, and affordable high-speed fiber internet.
I don't know, Jack. It looked like Herbeck pulled him off the bag.
Herbie's Headlines.
I didn't know exactly how to say this one, Hogue. So what I wrote in the notes was, Mike Trout looks like Mike Trout. Does that make any, like, he just seems like he's in his prime all of a sudden, and moving to right field might have been the best decision the Angels have ever made.
It does, and it kind of looks like, it's good because it's a bit of an ineffable comment, but it looks like he's got his swagger back. Not that he ever was like a cocky guy out there, but just him being like, yeah, I'm one of the best baseball players of this generation, and kind of playing like he knows that again and feels a lot more confident. I've seen that too, and I love it. It's great for the game of baseball. He's such a fun player to watch. It's good to see him back in that kind of echelon of talent and ability and actually producing and being healthy.
Yeah, super fun that Dan got to see him play today too. So exciting times for
absolutely.
Dan Thompson. And then we have to talk about the Pirates, Hogues. Now, it's been a long-running theme on this show that we believe, Dan believes, that the increased size of bases and the pickoff rules are not equal. He believes that the only rationale for why teams have stolen more bases is because the bases are bigger. No other rules could possibly come into play here. But it needs to be noted that it's not the Cincinnati Reds right now who lead the league in stolen bases. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are on pace to steal 360 steals this season. They've stolen 20 bases through Saturday, Hogues.
They're one of those weird, fun teams to watch that you don't really worry about. You don't think they're going to go that far, maybe squeak a wild card or here or there. But with Skeens and then running the bases like that, that's a fun team to watch. Maybe there's a little more hope and excitement in Pittsburgh with maybe Nutting can finally sell the team and they can feel a lot better about themselves. But it is a fun team to keep an eye on out there.
Okay, last note. We just have to mention the NL West.
Oh, man.
This is nuts. The Giants are 8-1. The Dodgers are 9-2, the Padres are 8-2, and then the Diamondbacks are 5-5, and the Rockies are 2-7, which is sort of what you'd expect for the Rockies. But the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres, Hogues, I hope that this season is insane, and we get to the end of the season, and everybody's just wondering how the postseason the seeding is going to break down, because you know you're going to get 3 teams from the NL West.
Well, and just for our own good, too, those 9 o'clock starts are always fun, like after the kids are in bed, to just turn on a little baseball for a while, especially when the Twins game is over. Them all being good and playing each other all the time makes for some fun late-night summer watching, so I'm excited.
Oh, it's the best. Let's go into Puckett's Picks then, Hogues, for the upcoming Royals.
And we'll see you tomorrow night.
Puckett's Picks.
So a couple of quick notes here before we make our picks. This won't impact how our picks are going to shake out, but Royce Lewis has started to run and do some baseball activities. So I still think he's a few weeks out is what everybody seems to be saying. But then closer to starting, obviously, is Brooks Lee, who's scheduled to start a rehab stint at Single A Fort Myers, and he's scheduled to play 7 innings.
He's got a back problem.
Yeah, it's good to hear for both of them, I think. And just to be clear, too, Lewis hasn't had any, like, hiccups or anything like that. Lee just was able to start moving around a lot earlier after his, so that's why he's a little bit ahead is what I heard. But, yeah, good to see both of them progressing, and hopefully we'll see Lee here soon. He is also... My back! He is also on my fantasy team, so I really could use him, too, because we're just struggling.
Nobody cares. Stop it. Oh, man. Okay, let's make our picks here. The listeners are going to take Jose Miranda. Okay, we'll see. My boy Miranda. I'm on board, Hogues. I love it.
I am not throwing away my shot.
I'm picking next. I got to go with my boy Wallner.
We're about to begin bonding adamantium to weapon exoskeleton.
Who are you going with, Hoges?
I just would like to point out that Wallner is also on my fantasy baseball team as well.
Stop it. Seriously, stop it. Oh, my goodness.
I can't. I'm going with Correa. I think that he's actually having a pretty decent year so far at the plate, minus like the actual production in the field. He's crushing the ball. Feels like he's finally getting some actual results out of crushing the ball. So I'm going to, instead of just chasing, like it's tempting to pick like Larnach or someone and start chasing points, I'm going to stick with Correa.
And that leaves Dan on the board, and he's going to take Byron Buxton. He's a speedy son of a gun, that Byron Buxton.
Nice.
But anyway, Hoges, thank you so much for filling in here. You're going to get a lot of Hoges here coming up, folks. I'm doing a little bit of traveling. Dan's traveling as well. But Hoges, thanks so much for being on the show, filling in. And if you would go ahead and send us out, that'd be great.
Always a pleasure, David. I'll send us out. Well, folks, if you like what you hear, please tell a friend. You can follow us on X at Min for the Win and find our Min for the Win Facebook and Instagram pages. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcast platforms so that you're notified when new episodes are available. If you could leave us a rating or a like, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you'd like to support the show further, you can find us on Patreon, link in the description. Thanks for listening, and as always, go Twins.
That'll wrap up another episode of Men for the Win, a podcast hosted by David Kufis and Dan Thompson, two avid fans who appreciate well-played baseball, especially when it's done by the Twins. Thanks so much for listening, and as always, go Twins.